What defines disease? Genetic mutations, we are told, defines disease. I have cystic fibrosis. Oh, you've got that genetic alteration or that genetic mutation. Cancer is largely a disease of genetic mutations, right? I read something fascinating a few years ago that I wanted to open today's show with, because I'm not going to be talking much about fungus on today's show, and I wanted you to know that. I got to have fungus in every show. This paper said that there are now 33 mycotoxins. Okay, back up. We've discovered about 75,000 species of fungi of the 2 million that exist. Of those, we found 300 are known to cause disease in man, and those make from 1 to 10 poisons. They're called mycotoxins. We now know probably 800, 600, somewhere mycotoxins exist, right? Some of them are really nasty and some of them are a little bit nasty. But mycotoxins, some of the really nasty ones, are known to alter our genes. They mutate our genes. A very, very common one is Aspergillus mold that can do that. Okay, so understand that it's fungus. Where does it come from? We're inhaling it with dirty vents, we're taking antibiotics, we're drinking alcohol, we're eating grains impregnated with mold, and that, I believe, is enough to alter our DNA. Genetic mutations, understand, fungus can induce those. Now, you probably want to know what's on today's Know the Cause. Here's the lineup.
Did you realize that many toothpastes contain chemicals that are linked to cancer?
And the other half, boy, they kicked it on a regular basis, and they were able to measure gut permeability.
But the real message and the real differentiation in Dr. O'Hara's is that we are delivering postbiotic metabolites.
You got the peppers, you've got some thyme in there. It's really good.
All that and more on this Know the Cause. Today's Know the Cause is brought to you by Dr. O'Hara's Probiotics. Discover the Dr. O'Hara difference. My name is Doug Kaufmann. For the past 40 years, I've dedicated my life and even my career to finding the root cause of disease. Join me in a team of physicians, pharmacists, and scientists, and soon you too will know the cause. Before going into this area, I was working in clinical immunology, allergy and immunology. And in the 1970s, I worked with a guy named Howard Gottschalk, an ear, nose, and throat doctor. Wonderful man, tremendous character. Worked with him for several years. And then one day I said, uh-oh, I got problems. A research paper came to the top of my desk. We didn't have, all these searches and everything back then. You had to go to a library. Someone sent me a research paper. And the headline of the research paper, and you'll have to go with me on this, it's a little bit technical, but it changed my career. Antigenically intact food macromolecules exiting the gut lumen. Antigenically intact. I mean, you could tell if someone was passing this through their gut, right? But it brought up the whole idea way back then in the 70s of leaky gut. Is my gut leaking? Wait a minute, you got a lumen, you got a protective coating there, nothing's supposed to leak. And then I saw these high definition pictures that were taken in Germany of the mycelium form of Candida yeast. It grows tails, long threads, and it was poking a hole through an intestine of someone with a gut yeast problem. It was poking holes. Okay, that made total sense. You mean foods antigenically intact. You mean little bits of corn and wheat and milk and eggs were leaking through? What would happen if they leak through? They'll be accepted by our white blood cell, our immune defenses, immune system, and an exact mirror replica of that antigen, called an antibody, will be made, rendering it harmless in your bloodstream. But when you draw blood and look at antibodies being made, you would suspect these people are allergic to all these foods, that they're just making antibodies to you. So food allergy was a field that just fascinated me. I don't think food allergy exists without gut permeability existing. I don't like the name, but let's use it anyway. It's called Leaky Gut Syndrome, and let's study it a little bit. This is 1988, so you know how far back I go. There is now irrefutable evidence that small amounts of intact peptides and proteins, like I said, milk, wheat, etc., do enter the circulation under normal circumstances. Do we all have gut permeability? Folks, we really might. I don't think before antibiotics, there was a whole lot of worry about that. I think post-antibiotics, antibiotics change the terrain of the intestine. It kills bad bacteria. Thank God we're alive today because of it. But it kills good bacteria, and that's where your immune system is. And so when yeasts are allowed to grow filaments and grow wild through our intestine, they can poke a hole through the gut. Not a pretty picture, right? Just close your eyes and don't think about that. But in fact, that might be what's going on. So in goes the milk, in goes the soda pop, in goes the alcohol, chew up the bread, swallow it, and we're allergic to almost everything we're eating, or are we? Should we seal up the gut? Do you ever move out an apartment and you got to get some spackle, and cover the walls where all the holes in the pictures were? I don't encourage you to drink spackle. I don't want you to do that. But wouldn't it be cool if there was something that would seal up the gut? It seems that breastfed children, colostrum really protected that leakage from going on. So sometimes bovine colostrum or psyllium hulls really help seal up a gut, but I'm going out of my area here. Conditions associated with leaky intestines or autoimmune diseases, celiac disease, Crohn's, hives, acne, there it is, food allergies, of course, arthritis, joint problems, ulcerative colitis. Why did I do all this? A whole lot of health problems are intimately linked with leaky gut syndrome. Here's the problem as I see it. The danger lies in observing the effect and believing it's the cause. Why, you've got inflammation in the gut. You've got Crohn's disease. What caused it? Well, we don't know, but don't worry, there's plenty of prescriptions coming your way. Don't you want to know the cause? If you could seal up the gut, and I think psyllium might really help, or look into bovine colostrum. This is cow colostrum as opposed to our mom's colostrum, but it still seems to work for a lot of people in sealing up a gut. Then change your diet. And I think you'll start feeling so much better. When we have leaky gut, as this article said, bloating, belching, gas, constipation, diarrhea, GERD, etc., is going on inside our bodies. The danger lies in seeing that and saying, oh, that has a label. That's called cystic fibrosis in the case of lungs. That's called gut disease, IBS, in the case of other things. We know that NSAIDs can cause leaky gut. Ibuprofen, aspirin, Advil, Motrin, etc. Laboratory testing, ask your doctor to run a lactulose mannitol test. Lactulose mannitol test. And you can watch this show again on knowthecause.com if you miss it. Okay? That can be ordered by a doctor. It's a urine test. It's important that you understand a lot of us have leaky gut, and that can lead to a whole lot of health problems and inflammation far from the gut. It's good you know that. So you've got to say, finally, Doug's not talking about fungus. Let's take a few minutes and talk about what I'll be doing in about 3 hours. I have a live Facebook session today, so before that, I'll go out to the little man cave and I'll begin exercising like a madman for 22, 25 minutes. I'll be dripping wet because it's so hot out there in the summer here in Dallas. But I exercise on a regular basis. Folks, let me ask you this question. Should we wait for science to catch up when it comes to exercise? Because there's scientists who say, well, it isn't proven that exercise can do this. I have exercised before Vietnam. I was walking regularly and jogging regularly, and that was 50 years ago. I exercise on a regular basis. It helps my mind think better. I didn't know that. I mean, I knew it helped my mind. I didn't know it helped my body. Look at this. This comes from Science Daily. It turns out that exercise can do more than slim down your waistline and boost your heart health. It might also make the inside of your gut healthier, according to a new study done at the UCSF, San Francisco State University. This was important. Folks, the gut, we didn't know this when I was a kid, or you were a kid. We now know 70–80% of your whole immune system is right there, right in the gut. We always used to think it was a lymph nodes or a spleen or something. It's right there in your gut. It's that good bacteria that was erased with antibiotics. Boy, do you need to take a probiotic, and I took years worth of them, still take them, okay? Here's what these guys found. How does exercise help my gut? Analysis showed that participants, they did 50 men and women, with the best cardiovascular fitness had a higher bacterial count associated with prevention of leaky gut syndrome by strengthening the intestinal lining. So you had half of the people who are couch potatoes, like I've been in my life too. You sit on a couch and you push the button, not channel 4, channel 8, not channel 8, channel 122, etc. Most exercise a lot of Americans get. And the other half, boy, they kicked it on a regular basis, and they were able to measure gut permeability. The lumen, the lining of the lower intestine, wasn't permeable. The yeast in our intestine couldn't poke a hole through the intestine and out-leak the food. This is pretty important. Those who had, I will exercise forever, even if this came up and said it's going to kill you. Those who did the most exercise had non-leaky guts. They had good bacteria. Now you couple that with a really good vegetable diet, lean meats, etc., eggs and things of that sort, proteins, and probiotics on a regular basis. I'm telling you folks, there really isn't one leg on the stool of what you need to do to enjoy good health. There's several. Exercise, make it one of your everyday legs on that stool. Okay, what's the deal with your toothpaste? Some chemicals in there? And then what's the deal with your probiotics? Are they just probiotics? Nurse Jenny and Dr. Ross Pelton join us to discuss those very topics right now.
Hi, I'm Jenny Herbacek with the Cancer Connection. Today I want to talk to you about something that we all use, and that's toothpaste. Did you realize that many toothpastes contain chemicals that are linked to cancer? And once in your mouth, these chemicals are absorbed into the bloodstream. For example, many toothpastes contain DEA, a foaming agent that interacts with other common ingredients in toothpaste to form nitrosamines. I find it interesting that toothpaste sold in Europe have different, safer formulations than the same products made by the same companies sold in the US. That's because the European Union has much stricter cosmetic laws. Okay, and I also want to caution you for reaching for that natural brand. Many of those still contain a long list of harmful substances. You can read more about this on the Cornucopia Institute's website under the Toothpaste Report and Scorecard. For Know the Cause, I'm Jenny Herbacek.
Dr. Ross Pelton and I have known each other for a good number of years, and I tell him he's intellectual, but I've asked him to be on your and my level as we talk about probiotics. But I tell him when I get his incoming emails and texts, I love them. Doctor, thank you for being here today.
It's always a pleasure to be with you and your viewers on Know the Cause.
Exactly, and because you know the cause. I mean, you and I talk about these ferments all the time, and if you're taking a probiotic, good for you. Are you getting a prebiotic? Or what happens after you take it? Do you get a postbiotic effect? And that's what Dr. Pelton wanted to talk to you about. First of all, on layman's terms, what are Dr. Ohhira's probiotics and why are they different than the dozens of other probiotics on the market?
Sure, Doc. Well, Dr. Ohhira's probiotics are unique and different than every other probiotic in the market. And there's a lot of them in the market. This is a very competitive field. But Dr. Ohhira's has a manufacturing process that's based on fermentation, and it's different than every other probiotic in the world. No other probiotic is made this way, and on the screen here we show the blue vats, which are the fermentation vats where Dr. Ohhira's probiotics are made. And so what we emphasize and the way we differentiate ourselves from everybody else is Dr. Ohhira's is really not primarily a probiotic, it's a fermented food product.
And you know, one of the things I love, Dr. Pelton, I was told by the Shores, the EFI's company, by the people who run that there's music going in the background here. These are living bacteria. There's Canon D, Pachelbel. There's beautiful classic music going on around these vats. How long do the probiotics, and that black stuff is the probiotic, how long do they live in these vats?
They live in there for 3 years before we encapsulate the final product. And what you just mentioned, the music, that's called the Mozart effect.
Wow.
Everything responds to sound and vibrations, and Dr. Ohhira intuited this. And so we're playing classical music 24 hours a day for our bacteria. And so we start out with 12 strains of synergistic bacteria, and then at seasonally appropriate times throughout the year, we shred and add dozens of different types of organically grown foods. There's fruits, vegetables, mushrooms, seaweeds. That's the prebiotic food supply for the probiotic bacteria. And then the bacteria get to digest and ferment this food for up to 3 years. And during that process, the bacteria are breaking down the fibers in the food and producing a wide range of compounds that we call postbiotic metabolites. And that's what's really different about Dr. Ohhira's, because we're not so concerned about delivering probiotic bacteria. We have probiotic bacteria in there, but the real message and the real differentiation in Dr. Ohhira's is that we are delivering postbiotic metabolites. And science is starting to realize that it's not so much the bacteria that are important, but it's the compounds they produce. These postbiotic metabolites are the master health regulating control compounds in your body. They affect every single organ system, especially your brain. And so Dr. Ohhira's is directly delivering these postbiotic metabolites. And here on the screen we show a book, The Mind-Gut Connection, written by Emron Mayer, very respected man in the probiotic and microbiome research community. And in his book he makes the statement that your bacteria use the enormous amount of information stored in their millions of genes to digest food and produce hundreds of thousands of metabolites. Wow. So this is the tip of a very large iceberg, a whole new area of science. And I've been speaking widely at microbiome conferences on the topic of postbiotic metabolites, the new frontier in microbiome science. And that's where it's all going. We're starting to understand that it's these compounds, these postbiotic metabolites, that really regulate your health, and Dr. Ohhira's delivers it directly.
Dr. Pelton is not only a pharmacist, he's also a biochemist, a lot of education that he's gone through. It fascinates me how 20 years ago, this was a bit controversial. And today, gastroenterologists are recommending probiotics, and there's so many of them out there. Thank you for differentiating what's out there, a dried powder that needs to be reconstituted in our gut versus a living encapsulated. These bacteria are alive,
They're
right?
Live, you bet. They're live bacteria, and along with the live bacteria, they have some of the prebiotic foods that are supporting and enhancing their growth and their proliferation, but we're delivering postbiotic metabolites. There's over 400 postbiotic metabolites in the final Dr. Ohhira's product.
Wow. And you heard the word mushroom. Folks, please don't let that scare you. There isn't a mushroom in this. You know, my diet says stay away from fungi. This is what these billions of little bacteria eat. So by the time you swallow it, they have eaten it. They've digested it. They eat all sorts of good stuff. Thank you for being here with us.
My pleasure, Dr.
Thank you, folks, for better understanding now the difference in probiotics. What do I take? Dr. Ohhira's probiotics. Convenient, easy to take with you. We'll be right back with more. And now something for this weekend for breakfast. It's called quiche, and nobody in America does it better over in our kitchen here at Know the Cause than Abby. Watch.
Hi, my name is Abby, and today for you on Know the Cause, I'm going to cook for you a crustless quiche. So let's get started. Today for the quiche, we're actually going to have one medium red bell pepper. We're going to put in some fresh thyme that's already chopped, and we're going to put in some goat cheese that's crumbled. But first we got to go ahead and chop the bell pepper. So we're going to do that. And you just want nice little chunks. Okay, our pepper's nice and ready. So we're going to set that aside, and we're going to get our bowl to mix everything with. So first what you want to do is the main thickening agent is something called arrowroot powder. So we're going to go ahead and put this in the bowl, and we're going to mix in about half of our unsweetened almond milk. Just going to pour that in, and you're going to whisk that up so the arrowroot powder doesn't get really clumpy. Okay, there's that. We've got 2 whole eggs and then 2 egg yolks. So we're gonna add our whole eggs. And 2. And then our egg yolks, and I'm using them for this. And now we're gonna go ahead and whisk everything together. Just incorporate everything. And again, you can get this recipe at knowthecause.com. I'll have all the measurements and everything printed out for you there, and you can go ahead and take a look so you can make this on your own. All right. Now at this point, we're gonna go ahead and add in the rest of our almond milk. Then we're gonna add a cup of heavy cream. I'll give it a nice, rich flavor. Mix that in a little bit. We're gonna add about half a teaspoon of coarse ground sea salt, and then a pinch of cayenne pepper. And we'll mix all that in. So that's all done. We're gonna go ahead and put in all the chopped peppers that we already did. They will cook regardless if you put them in raw or already sauteed. Then we're gonna go ahead and put in our thyme and our goat cheese. You wanna make sure you crumble up the goat cheese before you put it in because it doesn't really mix in. You're gonna get chunks of it around. So you just wanna make sure it's crumbled and not just in like a big block of cheese. And just give it a quick stir. And today we're gonna put it in a pie dish. Now this recipe calls for a slightly larger dish, like a square baking pan that's about a 7 by 11. That's what this full recipe calls for, and it'll fit in that too. All right, so first thing, we gotta grease the actual pie pan. So I'm gonna get a new paper towel, and I'm gonna take a stick of my grass-fed butter, and we're just going to go all the way around. Okay, set that aside. And now we're ready to pour in the quiche. Give it another quick stir. And we're just gonna pour it in gently. That's about all I'm gonna put in right now. And our goat cheese. All right. And after this, we're just gonna go ahead and put it in the oven. Our oven has been preheating to 425, and it's gonna be in there for around 25 to 30 minutes. It really depends on the size of the dish that you're using. The way to tell that it's done is you'll put a knife right in the middle and it'll come out clean. We're back. Our quiche is done. I've taken it out of the oven. I've been letting it cool off for half an hour to an hour. When you take it out of the oven, it's gonna be very hot. It's gonna be bubbling and boiling with all that goat cheese and goodness and everything like that. So you gotta wait for a little while before you can eat it. But it's cooled off, and I'm really gonna eat this. All these ingredients starve fungus, so it's really great for the Kaufmann diet. You can see you've got the goat cheese in there, you've got the peppers, you've got some thyme in there. It's really good. It's creamy, it's light, but you get the really salty richness of the goat cheese. The peppers are done, so you don't have to worry about cooking them ahead of time if you don't want to. It's really good. Again, you can go to the website, knowthecause.com. Try this out for yourself, put in different ingredients, different veggies, stuff that you want to try, and let me know how you like it.
So how do you like us now? Dr. Ohhira's probiotics is the one I've taken for a decade. I absolutely love them. There is the see that little packet? I love those. Just punch them out. Those are living bacteria. Okay, take them with you when you go. They don't need refrigeration. And there's their telephone number. Just pick up the phone, give them a buzz, and say, I want to try for a couple of months Dr. Ohhira's probiotics. I think you'll see the Dr. Ohhira difference. Thank you, Abby, for that amazing quiche. Thank you, Nurse Jenny. Amazing about toothpaste, right? And what about all these NSAIDs and gut permeability? You don't suppose, do you? Thank you for joining us today. We appreciate you being there and telling your friends about Know the Cause. God bless.